live within 5 square miles of where we're standing, and the public sector unions that finance them, and that they in turn finance when they get into office. Those are the more thans. That's what city and county and state government is set up to do. It is set up as their personal playground for the politicians, the Chicago Democrats, and the public sector unions. That's it. Those are the people that are making out great as Illinois continues in this economic death spiral. If any member of SCIU or AFSCME or IEA or the IFT wants to Red Rover and come over to our side, I welcome them. But understand that this is a fight against those individuals and their financiers and the people, as I said, that turn around and finance them. Politics, oh by the way, is not about kind of ephemeral, murky, bipartisan compromise. It is a fight, a rhetorical fight, because we disagree. We disagree about how society should be ordered. We have different visions of that. You know, one is freedom-based and one is centrally planned. Those are fundamental disagreements. There are limited opportunities or intersection points for compromise. So I'm all for getting half a loaf if we can't get the full loaf, for something that advances our flag. But this idea of just compromising for its own sake is blather. And I'm sick of hearing it from both parties. And to the extent that Republicans are parroting that nonsense, is to the extent that they're creating is the extent to which we are not spending the limited time and limited bandwidth that we have with people to define our constituency and tell our story to that constituency. And so this is the challenge. And if we don't tell our story, then what will happen? The same thing that's been happening for 3 decades. Mike Madigan and the Chicago Democrats will tell our story for us. And it's not going to be the rosy story that I told. And people will get scared, and enough people will be afraid, and enough people will run to what they know, and Pat Quinn gets reelected. And Mike Madigan is still Speaker, and John Cullerton is still Senate President. And more productive people, more and more makers in this state leave to neighboring states or far-flung places, and we miss the manifest opportunity that is in front of us yet again. And like I said, I'll close with the same challenge I opened with. This is not my responsibility solely. It's not politicians' responsibility. It's not the guy running for governor or Senate or any other office. It's all of our responsibilities. In your circles of influence, your opinion matters more than mine does, or anybody else's. Among your family, your friends, your colleagues, your neighbors, your coworkers, they respect your opinion. They know you. They trust you. That's why you're in their circle. So you need to be willing to make the arguments. Be willing to present new scholarship that they otherwise haven't been exposed to, even if that's uncomfortable over Thanksgiving dinner, even if you're interrupting the Lions game. I mean, it has to be done, because otherwise they tell their story and stereotypes persist. So the question that everyone has to answer, the question I ask, the question that needs to be asked of me is, when the conversation turns to you, what are you going to say? Because understand how politics works. It is not a light switch. There is not going to be 3.5 million people in this city that wake up tomorrow and have an epiphany and say, oh my God, what have I been doing all these years? I just realized I'm actually a Republican. What happens is you change the conversation, and that changes people's opinions, and that changes their behavior on election day, and that changes electoral outcomes, and that changes the people in office and the policy choices they make. You have to get on that train. The same train that David Mamet got on when his rabbi changed the conversation in their little interlude. So, again, the question is, when the conversation turns to you, with people who you have influence over, or influence with, what are you going to say? Thank you very much.